Is this your first time at the
It is at Phocuswright, yes.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Yeah, I brought some beautiful London weather for you all.
Now we know whose fault it is. Well, I always say...
That's not the first thing I'm getting blamed for today, is it? Were you in the previous sessions?
Usually it's my fault. I live in Seattle.
Yeah,
and
well, yeah.
anytime I go somewhere it rains, I'm like, I came to Florida for the sunshine.
Yep.
So, okay, so you just announced your third quarter results last week. It's been a very strong quarter. We're seeing business travel obviously come back, and it's shaping to be a good year. What I noticed from those results is just this really strong growth in the SMB, the SME side of things. I think you said 3.3 billion in new wins, 2.2 of which was SME, and 30% you converted sort of unmanaged to managed. What do you think is behind that? What's driving that change?
Well, we made a decision 3 or 4 years ago to really focus on the big opportunity that exists in the SME segment. I mean, we're very fortunate to have a leading share in global multinational. It's a very important segment for us. We continue to gain share, and it's going very nicely. But SME is 900 billion of the 1.2 trillion market. And so, it's a huge opportunity. It's a much faster growing segment, and it's a higher margin segment. So we've been investing in our product set, adding Neo One as a turnkey spend management platform for SMEs, adding Agencia as a turnkey travel management solution, proven at scale globally for SMEs, and investing a lot more in our sales and marketing channels, and it's paying off. You see that if you go back to 2019, we had about 25% of our business in the SME segment. We now have over 50% of our profits and 50% of our revenues coming from that segment. So very good results, good momentum, but there's a huge runway of growth ahead of us there.
And are you worried about, Hilton recently announced the Hilton for Biz program. American Airlines sort of changed what used to be Business Extra to now the Business Advantage. So there's a little bit of competition from the suppliers trying to go directly for that segment. Are you concerned at all?
Well, look,
or
as I said,
it's
a 900 billion segment. 300 billion of that is managed today. 600 billion of it is unmanaged. So that is customers already using airlines direct, hotels direct, using OTAs. So sort of competition from supplier direct is nothing new. I think what customers keep in mind is, why do suppliers want you to go to their website direct? Well, look, let's be clear. Airlines want you to come to their website direct because they want to upsell you to higher fares. Airlines want to sell you as many ancillary services as they possibly can. Airlines don't want you to see transparent shopping or lower cost alternatives on other airlines. Of course they don't. If I was running an airline, I wouldn't be doing those things either. So what we offer those SME customers is access to savings that they wouldn't get by going direct, a much better service experience, much, much greater choice, and importantly, control over their spend. And those aspects of our value proposition are incredibly strong, and they just do not exist in that supplier direct world. So competition isn't new, and frankly, I back our value proposition any day, and you see it in the numbers.
And you think some of that is also driven, by the pandemic, the duty of care sort of focus that came out of it?
I think that's true. I think higher prices have made more and more small to mid-sized companies say, how can I do better? These companies are not getting direct deals from suppliers, so coming to us. The average SME customer uses our own negotiated content 40% of the time. So that's 40% of the time that they would not be able to access savings if they went direct. So higher prices have driven more customers to managed. And I think, yes, during the pandemic, more and more companies said, look, we have a responsibility here to make sure that we're actually giving the right level of service and duty of care to our people. So I think those trends have been helpful.
Okay. We have talked a lot about distribution at this conference. Of course, there's, just overall, the business travel world seems to be in a time of change as NDC has come up. You announced Amex GBT, a framework at the MMP, Minimum Marketable Product Framework, and It's created a lot of discussion, maybe, criticism from various different stakeholders, I should say, in the industry. What I found interesting was the AIR panel before this, and American saying that it wanted to work with travel retailers. Keith from Air Canada mentioning how difficult it is sort of to turn the ship, so to speak, for the larger traditional TMCs. I want to ask you, what is it that makes it so difficult? Because there are, TMCs that have gone out and implemented NDC to the extent that they can. So why 162 use cases?
Well, yeah, look, NDC reminds me of when I was on holiday in Ireland, and I remember I stopped to ask for directions, and I was asking where the road to Killarney was, and the guy said to me, "Do you know, I wouldn't start from here now if I were you, Paul." Now, the thing is in life, you have to start from where you are, and the starting point in the travel ecosystem is it's very large, it's very complex, and it's very fragmented. And managed travel is even more complex. That is just a fact. Retail travel, consumer travel is much simpler than managed travel. So that is a genuine complexity that exists in the industry. Having said that, look, we could do one direct connect in one country with one airline, send out a press release and declare victory, which is frankly what some companies in the industry are doing. That's not a responsible thing for us to do. That's not what our customers expect from us. We're solving real problems for real customers at scale on a global basis. And that requires you to step back and think about, okay, not what is this going to look like when I have one direct API with one supplier in one country, but what when I have 10, 20, 30? What when I'm aggregating content from the GDS and from outside the GDS? And that does have a different level of complexity to it. Having said that, today in hotel, people may be surprised to know 25% of our hotel transactions come outside the GDS. They're direct supplier APIs. So we know how to do non-GDS content at scale. We're already doing it globally on hotel. The challenge with air is there isn't the same level of standardization yet. So what we did was to put out a set of requirements that we said, look, if we want to do this at scale on a global basis, there's a lot of work ahead of us. And frankly, most airlines have actually received that very well. There have been over a dozen changes to the airline APIs as a result of the requirements that we put out there. So I think it's been a constructive step forward. But personally, I would say another thing that came up in that panel, this sort of binary description between, there's new entrants where everything's quick and easy, and there's legacy TMCs where it isn't. It's just honestly self-serving rubbish. Not all legacy TMCs, or should I say proven TMCs, are created equal. We have 77% of our transactions through digital channels. We have 60% of those transactions on our own software platforms, Agencia and Neo. We have nearly 2,000 people in our own product and technology organization, and we have some fantastic software engineers that are solving these problems each and every day. What is true, and the distinction that people should make, is that when we have complete control over the ecosystem, which we do with Agencia and we do with Neo, when we own the platform end-to-end, we can move quicker. Right? That is true.
Yeah.
But some customers, and this is what happens when you have 20,000 businesses you're serving around the world, you have to solve these problems at scale. And some customers have chosen to integrate other third-party technology. It might be Concur, it might be GetThere, it might be Deem, it might be their own proprietary duty of care tools. And so when you're having to then integrate other technology players along the value chain, it does get more complicated. But that's because customers have chosen to construct their programs that way. And we want to solve for NDC in both those environments, in our own proprietary environment and where customers are choosing to integrate third-party tech. There is absolutely nothing stopping us moving at the same pace where we control the environment and we have our own engineers on keyboards running the software. And that's what we have 60% of the time. And so we can and will move at speed. And that's why, look, we have 10 airlines up and running on NDC. We're seeing increases every month in terms of the volumes. But we are seeing greater speed and greater scale on Agencia and Neo where we own the ecosystem. and we can control the ecosystem.
So, what stops you from perhaps extending, say, the Agencia platform or Neo, or, kind of saying to your enterprise clients, look, why don't you use Neo? That's an environment that you control. Do you go out with that message?
Yeah, look, our strategy is to provide customers with choice. The way we go to market today is we have 4 solutions. So if you're a small company and you want to manage all of your indirect spend on a single turnkey platform, we have a product called Neo One.
Yeah.
Travel, indirect spend, expense management, and payment, all integrated. If you're a SME customer that wants a configurable turnkey travel management platform, we have Agencia. If you're a customer that wants to buy travel, including your TMC and the OBT, we have Neo. And you can have Neo with expense or without expense. Not every customer wants to rip out, their existing expense tool. So we offer Neo Travel or Neo Travel and Expense. Then we actually have another product, which we actually defined a few months ago, and we call it Amex GBT Select. And Amex GBT Select is customers can choose essentially from a series of approved third-party technology providers that kind of exist in our app store that they can integrate into their solution. And so our job is to provide that choice. Customers know that if they choose our own software platforms, some developments are going to move quicker because we control them. But NDC is not the only issue every customer is trying to solve for. Some customers have chosen third-party technology because they value the third-party value that technology brings. And some of those companies are represented in this room, and are at Phocuswright. So when you are scaling a business like ours and you're serving 20,000 businesses around the world, you can't go out with a one-size-fits-all approach. You have to offer customers choice. That's why we're growing. That's why we're scaling.
Okay. Well, at Phocuswright, we talk a lot about innovation. You're the biggest TMC globally by far. How do you think about innovation, about new technologies, and bringing them into your ecosystem?
Yeah, look, there's 3 parts to it that I'm sure won't be a surprise to anybody, but build, partner, buy. Build is obviously a very important area for us. With the addition of Agencia and Neo, we now have teams that are focused on driving innovation within our own company and launching new products like Neo One, launching new features, new capabilities on our software platforms. And so building it is really important. Partnering is also very important. And I mentioned earlier that we've actually created a defined product now called Amex GBT Select to frankly give more emphasis and more focus on the partnerships that we have with companies like the ones that are represented here. And we already work with some of the companies that are here. We work with a company called Choose that are helping us with sustainability, emissions tracking and reporting. We're also working with Hubley and the team, who I know are here. They're helping to power our Meetings in Express product, helping customers get control over that small meeting spend. And so actually we're here, we have a team of people here meeting with over 30 companies to see how we can partner with more companies that can create value for our customers. So partnerships are hugely important. And then yes, there are times where we decide to buy. 30 Seconds to Fly is a great example of a small travel AI company that we brought in. Actually, interestingly, I don't know if Mr. Paul English is still in the room, but he's absolutely right. One of the big opportunities, he's always right, but one of the big opportunities is to automate email using AI, and that's what the 30 Seconds to Fly team have been doing in Amex GBT for the last 2 years. And that has been a big opportunity for us and continues to be. And of course, Agencia is another acquisition where we brought capabilities into the company. So we're very active, innovating in terms of our own internal teams and building, partnering, and where appropriate, buying.
And where do you see the biggest opportunities? What kind of technologies are you particularly interested in, if there's something?
Yeah, look, I think AI is definitely a big area of focus for us. I think companies like ours probably stand to create the most value through AI. And what I mean by that is that we are a leading software and services company now. As I mentioned, 60% of our transactions come through on our own software. We are the leader in travel management software and services. Now, the advantage that gives us is we've got the skills and resources in-house to be able to develop and deploy and execute AI. But we also have a large services business. 40% of our costs are people still in the voice channel. And so we have a big cost opportunity to improve the productivity. And it's actually in 3 areas, and Paul touched on I think one of these, obviously the servicing area, automating email, automating some of the voice processes. Finance is another important area of focus for us on AI. There are some really, really interesting use cases in terms of automating FP&A in finance, so that's an area of focus for us. And then, as Paul quite rightly mentioned, product and tech. You know, our engineers can be far more productive. Simple code can be written, you know, using AI, and so that improves the productivity of our product and tech teams. So I think looking externally for proven use cases and capabilities that can help us on that transformation is key. You know, and frankly, we talked about it before, content is king. We want to have the most comprehensive, the most competitive content of any company in the industry. So if there are partners that can help us continue to build on our content advantage, we will absolutely be interested in that.
Probably lots of them.
I think so.
Lots of them.
We're meeting 30 of
here.
them this week, so hopefully.
Yeah, but you know, just going back to AI for a second, because you said, you know, proven use cases that are out there. Do you have a team internally that's focusing on some use cases as well?
For AI?
For AI.
Yeah, we do actually. We actually have, we had a small team, it's now a much bigger team, and we've actually created 3 verticals within that team. So there's one team of engineers that work specifically on what we call traveler care use cases, so that's really, you know, service-related use cases. We then have a team working on finance, and then we have a team working on product and tech. But we do have some clear governance over that. It's actually run by a guy called Mike Escobel, who reports into our CTO. And so, yeah, we're investing more and more in those capabilities. What I would say about AI, though, that's equally important for us, we're not going to use AI in the way some companies are, forcing customers into channels that they don't want to be in, or forcing customers into bot hell with crappy experiences. That's not what our brand is about, and that's not what our company's about. So we're always going to do it in a way that enhances the customer experience.
Okay. One question, just, you know, how do you see the economics of the TMC world changing, you know, in the next year, 2 years, as, you know, just NDC comes on board? I know the airlines are certainly talking about their economics.
Look, fundamentally, it's about the value that you deliver to customers and suppliers. And we are obsessed with investing in more and more features and functionality to be able to create more value for customers and suppliers. Whether the tactics change, whether some of the structures change, what ultimately matters, are you delivering more and more value? If you deliver more and more value, you will see your yields and your margins improve. And that's what we've seen. If you look at our Q3 results, 17% revenue growth, full year will be 23% revenue growth. Last quarter, we had 135% profit growth. So, you know, I think our results prove that if you focus on creating value for customers and suppliers, the economics will take care of themselves.
And are you concerned at all about, you know, all this talk of a slowdown, you know, just what's happening geopolitically? Are you concerned that?
Well, yeah,
that
of course.
Slow down?
I mean, you look, the world is more uncertain today than it was 90, 120 days ago. So yes, I mean, I think the political and economic environment, you know, is more uncertain, but at the same time, we have a 1.1 trillion industry. We're the market leader. We are 30-40% bigger than the nearest competitor, but we have 30 billion of that 1.1 trillion. So irrespective of the macroeconomic conditions, there's a massive runway for growth out there, and our focus is going after it and getting it.
Okay. Well, we have just maybe time for a couple of fun things to end. Your favorite sport?
My favorite sport is cricket, which won't resonate very well in this audience.
Well, no, but funny you should say that. I should ask you what you think about England's performance in the World Cup.
Cricket and football, it's sort of neck and neck, really.
What team do you support then, football?
I'm a Liverpool fan.
Okay,
yeah.
The Cop. Your favorite way to relax?
My favorite way to relax? And this is going to sound ridiculous, but I love to travel. I love to travel. I love to go out to eat.
Favorite vacation spot then?
Yeah, traveling, eating, and watching sport all together is probably perfect for me.
What's your favorite vacation spot?
Barbados.
Right, well, on that note, Paul Abbott, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.